Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr, and this is episode 187 of CryptoBiography, and it is part 4 of A Stranger in Goldenlode. And here we go. Sam went back to the Nugget. Tom greeted him and brought him some coffee. Sam took out a pad of paper and a pencil and flipped pages until he got to the end. He wrote down everything he could remember from this day. Caught up, he reread it and everything from the previous days, and even before. He then went back and leafed through the entire pad, but he saw nothing that would explain why he was still feeling strange about Richard Dunning. The evening came, and the dinner and later drinking crowds came to the Nugget. Sam waited, but got no new information from Gabe or anyone else. Sam had his dinner and a beer, and made light conversation with a number of townfolk. He wasn't outgoing by nature, but it was important that he stay on good terms with the people of Goldenlode. He couldn't do his work if everyone was against him. He went home, kicking off his boots by the door and deciding not to have any more coffee. He felt dried out, so he got some water from his barrel and just drank that and listened to the night insects. After a while, he heard someone or something moving outside. His neighbors were too far away from him to hear their footsteps, so he went and picked up his pistol and stood near the door. There was a soft knock. Sam opened the door. The night was dark, but the small amount of light from his single candle near the stove revealed a young woman he wasn't acquainted with. "May I help you?" he asked. "May I come in? It's getting chilly," she replied. He was a little surprised, but his manners took over. "Please." He stepped back and then shut the door once she had entered. "Is this about Richard Dunning?" Sam asked. Often his helpers around town themselves asked for information, and sometimes it came directly to him. "No, sir. I'm from Madame Lorraine's." "The brothel?" Sam thought. "How may I help you?" She moved a little bit towards him. "It's really how I'd like to help you," she said. She was short, quite thin, and with a sharp-nosed face. Her eyes were looking at him with what was probably meant to be seduction, but seemed put on to Sam. Her dress was designed to show off what curves her underfed frame had. Prostitution was allowed in Goldenlode, but only happened in the brothel, or so Sam understood. This was new to him. "I'm not a patron of Madame Lorraine's." "She knows. But she likes the way you help keep things quiet around here. We've seen more than a few men with bad intentions move out of town because of you." "I saw you this evening at the Nugget," she said. Sam flashed back. He'd gone to most of the tables at one point or another, keeping up his friendly ties. He hadn't been to a table with her at it. She must have been at the bar. But he didn't recall her being there. Then he snapped back as she continued. "Something I saw tonight. You have a wedding ring." "Yes," Sam said, "I do." "Well," she said, taking another step towards him, "you've been in town a long time not to have called her for her to join you." "Did she pass?" "Yes," said Sam, "she passed." "Then let me take her place tonight." "I don't even know your name." She smiled. "That's the idea. You don't have to." Sam looked rueful. "You're very kind, miss, but I'm not looking for that right now." She smiled wider, despite his words. "Well, maybe you'll feel different some night." Sam didn't respond to that, but did have a thought. "Would Madame Lorraine be upset if you had a second income?" She looked him up and down. "I thought you weren't interested." "Not in that. In buying information." She considered this. "What kind of thing do you want to know?" "Well," Sam said, relaxing enough to point her to a chair and sitting down in the next one. "My job with the bank is to make sure that any new people in town are decent folk. If they're not, I make sure they move along." She nodded. "That's more or less what I heard about you. I didn't realize you were with the bank, though. I thought you were with Sheriff Tuggard." Sam shrugged. "I don't think the bank or the sheriff wants it widely known. It's not really a secret, though, either. So what do you want, Sam? May I call you Sam? Since you've already asked to go to bed with me, I suppose we're past formality, Sam said. Sure. What do I call you? Daisy. Okay, Daisy. I don't have any contact at Madame Lorraine's. Do men ever actually spend the night there? Hardly ever. It's a lot more than a room at the Big Nugget. Right. If they did, I'd cotton on a while ago that new people in town were slipping by me somehow. Still, I'll bet that some men hit the town and make a beeline for Madame Lorraine's, don't they? Oh, yeah, they do. Most of them smell of sweat, dust, horses, or all three. Sam nodded. Well, when someone new to town, not just someone coming back after a spell, but someone actually new, comes into Lorraine's, if you're able to tell me about him, I can pay you. She looked interested. How much? If it's really basic information like a single stranger came in, no one knows him, big beard and dark brown hat, then a quarter. But I'll pay up to $1 for good information, like if you have a getting-to-know-you conversation and learn his name, where he's from, how does he earn his pay, and so on. Maybe more if he's got enough grit to let you know he's an outlaw. She nodded. Easy money. Talking's half the job. But don't you go broke in your line of work, giving out money like that? The bank defrays my costs, usually. They won't kick up a fuss if you pay me or my friends? Not if it's for information instead of for your other services. But no, I'd rather just pay you. I don't want everyone at Lorraine's running over to the Nugget every time someone new's in town. I can't pay everyone if they all try to tell me at once. But if you make an arrangement with your friends for them to tell you to tell me, I'm happy to let your pay go part their way. I suppose Madame Lorraine will be wanting a cut either way. You suppose right, she said. Okay, I'll be your little liaison. She ended that sentence with a wicked grin, which Sam chuckled at. You're as bright as your name, Sam said. And since you had the gut to leave Lorraine's place and try your hand here, you got gumption, too. I think we'll be good business partners. She took this as a dismissal, started to rise, then sat back down. Anything else before I go, partner? Sam smiled. Absolutely. There's a new man in town, name of Richard Dunning. He's an undertaker. Pale, light-colored hair, sunken eyes, black clothes. He's trying to decide now if he's going to stay or not. Normally, I'd have made a decision on someone by now, and he'd be welcome to stay, or I'd have convinced him to move on. But I'm in a quandary with him. Something about him seems off, but I haven't figured out what yet. If you find out something out about him, I'll be glad to pay you, even though he's been in town a few days now. Is he likely to visit Madame Lorraine's? Daisy asked. Sam considered this. I don't think so, he said, but you never know. Even if you just spot him doing something when you're out and about, I'll pay for a report. Along the same lines, a quarter if it's just a when and where you saw him, more if you can let me know what he was doing. Daisy smiled and rubbed her hands together in a parody of greed. I'll be sure to do that then, Sam. Thanks. I'll be thanking you if you bring me anything juicy on him. Great. I'll be getting along back to Madame Lorraine's. Then I'll see you out. It's dark. You want me to walk you back? She glanced at him. My, what would people say about us? But no, thank you. I can take care of myself. Good night. One question. You always call Madame Lorraine. Why is that? She laughed. Habit. Madame Lorraine does not want her or her establishment to be called anything other than Madame Lorraine and Madame Lorraine's. She thinks it gives it a bit of class. Sam nodded. I see. Good night, then, Daisy of Madame Lorraine's. He pulled out a quarter and handed it to her, to formalize our partnership. She took it, laughing again, turned, and was swallowed almost immediately by the night. Sam shut the door and prepared for bed. And that's the end of the story for this week. And if I actually did write a little bit more, but it didn't end at a really good stopping point. So it will be for next week's episode. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, cryptobiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thanks for listening. Words and Music copyright 2021, CryptoBiography LLC, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.